Howdy folks, and welcome back to another exciting video. Today I'm back with this barn find 1979 Camaro that has been sitting for over 10 years at this point. In the last video we did get it to run and we drove it around, but it needs brakes, it needs a fuel tank, and it needs to be cleaned, as you can tell. We're going to detail the interior, fix the exterior, and make it look brand new. So by the end of the video, this car will be completely transformed and you won't even be able to tell it was sitting in a barn for all that time. So stick around to the end of the video if you want to see just how good of a transformation you're about to witness. That's right folks, we're making this barn find Camaro even better than it is now. In the last video, we drug it out of the barn and was sitting in for over a decade after a brake issue caused it to be parked. The previous owner unfortunately has stage 4 cancer and is unable to do anything with the car, so I was able to purchase it from him and start in on the work with the promise of letting him go for a ride again. With a little gas and a hot battery, it immediately fired up and ran while shooting out rat's nests from the exhaust. The brakes were good enough to go for a short drive and, of course, spin some tires. As I mentioned though, we have a ton of work still ahead of us. You won't believe the transformation this thing goes through. So we're back on the lift. I jacked the car up right when I pulled it back in the shop after driving it around, and I put up the rear, put it in gear, and when I hit the brakes, nothing happened. So the wheels kept spinning. So that does tell me that the brakes are not working in the rear, but I don't see any brake fluid or anything leaking out of anywhere or notice any wet spots. What I'm suspecting is wheel cylinders. That usually is the thing that goes because there's seals in there and things can go bad, and if they leak, then it acts like a brake line goes bad because you've got a fluid leak. So we're gonna take these drums off. Looks like a possibility maybe. We've got some bubbling in just a few spots, but I don't think this one's leaking. Yeah, this one's probably okay. But the shoes look good. There's a ton of material left, and the drums look really good too. Plenty of material. I mean, these will be fine to reuse. You know, it almost feels a little bit counterintuitive to fix the rear brakes because this thing does some killer burnouts as it is. But you gotta be safe before you can be cool. I think that's how that works. Oh yeah, these have to be leaking. See how this is all bubbling up? That's paint right there. What that tells me is that this wheel cylinder has been leaking at one point or another and it just dried up. So at least the proportioning valve did its job, but at the expense of our rear brakes. So I'm thinking that fixing up these wheel cylinders will be the trick. I've been trying to bleed the brakes and I've noticed that I'm having an issue with the rears. I can't get them to do anything. I think our weak link is the master cylinder because after a while the fluid would run out. So it would, I think, puke out the rear of the master cylinder. There was fluid everywhere. So I've got the lines cracked. I'm gonna take the old one off and we're gonna replace it with a brand new one. The the rear still would not bleed, and the issue came down to the proportioning valve being stuck to the front. I cracked a line to the front and it wouldn't move to close it off, so I took it apart, cleaned it, and got it to work properly. So I opened this door and pulled the door panel off of it because this door right here is having a lot of issues. So on these cars, if you know anything about them, the hinge pins, the bushings will wear out and it causes the door to sag because the door is so heavy. Looks like somebody's put a door on this car at some point because of a different color. You can see it's got a little blue in here, but they welded the door latch in. It's supposed to have 3 screws and they welded them in, so I don't know what happened here, but we got to fix all this. And since the door is sagging and hard to open, the door latch actually got broken, so I removed it. I've got a new one coming. So what he would do is he would jump in through the door with the T-top out and the window rolled down, which inadvertently bent the door lock here and bent the rod that opens the door here. So this rod doesn't work. So you got to stick a screwdriver down through the top of the door to even get it to open. Now it looks like somebody had put new hinge pins in this thing at some point, but while I'm here, it looks like I see one that's cracked. I'm going to replace them both, just get it out of the way, because they also left the spring that holds the door open. So as soon as you let go of it, it just tries to shut itself. So we're going to fix all that today. There we go. Lay that flat and slide it out of our way. Now we have a better view of the hinges themselves. As you can see here, that bushing right there on the bottom, it's broken. And the other side was way worse. These were, again, replaced at some point, but they still went bad. So you can just see the slop in there. That's what causes your doors to sag. Before I took these out, I marked exactly where they lie with a Sharpie. Well, this hinge right here is the top driver's side with the spring in it I was talking about, and it wasn't even put together properly. Look at this. You're supposed to be able to hammer these out, and it just completely fell apart. So it never got put together properly in the first place, so that's a big problem right there. If I can just do that by hand without having to use a hammer, just imagine what the door's like. You really need a special tool to do this job right here, but I'm going to show you that you don't have to have it, but you really should do it if you're going to do this a lot. But since I'm only doing this once, I don't want to have to do it a bunch of times. Be very careful doing this. There you go, just like that. And there's the welded latch. There we go, new door lock installed. And where they had welded up these holes, I actually had to use washers to actually secure everything. But on the outside, we've got a new door handle. Inside, I got this handle to work again. The rod was bent, but we straightened it up enough to actually get it to work. So now everything's working on that side. We've got a new lock rod. It's no longer bent, and it locks in place if I'd actually put this little plastic clip back in. And there you go. Now we get a lock and unlock, and everything works again. It's looking good. So we're gonna put the door panel back on. Everything's functioning. I've oiled up all the tracks for the window. There's no more noise whenever you roll it up or anything like that. So you can see at the front, the tank looks like it's been leaking for quite a while. There's this dark spot right here. The sending unit, the gasket's probably just gone. Or it could be a fuel hose, but who knows at this point. But I would guess this is an original tank, and if any gas is sitting in here, it's probably disgusting. So since we have to drop it anyway, we might as well just put a brand new tank back in it. It doesn't hurt, and it's a whole lot easier than having to deal with old gas that doesn't want to cooperate. Wow. It smells like paint thinner. Ugh. All right, now the filler neck's probably the only thing holding it up right now, so we just gotta wiggle it loose. Get in my way. Alright. Now we just gotta find the wire for the sitting unit, wherever that may be. Aha! Is that what I think it is? It is! The build sheet. Ha! The build sheet's still there, folks, but it had glued itself to the top of the trunk, so unfortunately it got ripped, but it's still there for the most part. All right, oh wait, there's another one. Let me see if I can wiggle this out of here without dropping it. Ugh. All right, feel her neck. There we go. Oh wow. Yeah, the build sheet's all still there. Yeah. Oh, there's not a whole lot of gas in it, so that's good. Just trying to keep the mess to a minimum. Now this right here is invaluable. This shows exactly what came on the car when it was brand new and every single option it has. Now luckily this car is extremely original and it has a whole lot of good stuff on it already that we can tell, but this is really good history, fantastic paperwork. Unfortunately it was sticking right here when I dropped the tank down, so it did rip unfortunately. Luckily it didn't rip all the way through and it's still there, so I'm going to carefully pull this little strap back and see if I can slide this out of here, because I want to keep that and leave it with the car so that we can display it and actually have it to show people. This stuff right here is exciting. I love finding original build sheets in cars like this. It's rare to find it sometimes. I mean, a lot of times you don't get this experience, but I pulled a lot apart where I have been able to, and it's always fun. There we go. Oh, looks like it's, I don't know if we can save it underneath this strap. Gonna be very, very careful to not hurt it. I'm just gonna rip it off. Okay, so this paper is super brittle, so I'm just gonna see if I can peel it away from this. It's already kind of coming off of it. No, it's not gonna work. Problem here is that everything underneath this is ruined because it looks like I don't know if there's an adhesive or what the case may be. Well, we're only missing 3 options that we can't see, so let me just try and, oh man, I hate this. That stinks. Ah, it does not want to come loose. There we go. Okay, we got most of it. This section right here, whatever it says, is gone, but we at least know that we have the good majority of it, so well, that's unfortunate, but it's okay. We have that to work with, because look, all this is gone. I mean, there's nothing left here. Even if I pull this away, it's probably like the ink and everything, the top layer, see that? It's all just black underneath, so you can't even tell what this would say. So that A01 tells me that it is soft ray tinted glass, all windows. So that's pretty cool. A51 is a bucket seat, which is standard equipment apparently. And then B83, it says rocker SPR molding. I don't know what that means, but there's no rocker molding. And then J50, power brakes, V8 305, automatic trans, California emissions, which this car was built in Van Nuys according to down here is what it looks like. And space saver spare tire, deluxe wheel covers, FR78 by 14, black wall tires. Then we got black tail lamps, radio suppressor, mono radio, I'm not sure what that means, provisions, AM radio, and then whatever that antenna means. What does U76 mean? And U76 is antenna windshield type. Oh, okay. Windshield antenna. Nice, okay. VJ9 is California emissions, so it meets the California standard. VK3 is mounting front license plate. Cool. And then this one says black trim. So that's pretty neat. We've got all the options on here that this car came with, plus all these different codes here that has everything else we need, but you know, we're missing a good chunk of them, but we at least know what the options were ordered on this vehicle. And it was a customer order car. So somebody literally filled the sheet out and said, this is a car I want. There's our new gas tank. We put about 3 gallons in it maybe. I'm gonna see if it'll actually run. What I've done is just poured a little bit of gas down into the vent tube so that way it can pick up just a little bit before it tries to run. And hopefully, if the fuel pump works, it should pick it up and start running on its own. How nice is this? Doors that work. Oh, one more time. She's cold. A little throttle. Oh. Let idle. Yeah. Hey, look, we've actually got gas. It's showing, well, I mean, that's probably about right. I mean, I only put, 2 or 3 gallons in it, so I wonder if, the sending unit should work. It's all brand new. That's fantastic. Oh, you love to see it. All right, I'm gonna take my foot off the throttle, and it's idling. Yes. It is finally running off of its own brand new fuel system. Heck yeah. That is fantastic right there, folks. You love to see it. That's a lot of work right there. But now it's got its own fuel system. We've got somewhat of brakes. We've got everything that we need to at least be a functioning vehicle now, except for the fact that it's completely disgusting. I say we go ahead and back it off the lift and we tackle that right now. What a transformation that is right there, folks. This car looks so much better. Actually see a little bit of reflection and shine back in the paint. You can see it does need some buffing and a good wax to it to really get the dirtiness out of the paint, because it still has some stains in it. But overall, it's so much better than what it was. So I really am in shock by just how clean this car turns out. And it's awesome. So like I said, we could probably take some rubbing compound to some of this, but there's still a really good reflection, but it's just dirty. See those stains in there in the paint? That can come out easily with some rubbing compound. We'll just have to go over the car at some point. But what I've noticed here is that this door right here, I hope it's easy to tell on camera, it's a mismatched color. But I know this door, at least from what I can tell, is original. The other door was replaced. But why is it a different shade of white? I don't know. So I know the car has been repainted at some point, and this is the original color. See that white there? This better matches the door. So I'm wondering if the car, besides this door, was painted. I'm not sure why. Really don't understand that. But it still looks good. It's not that big of a difference to where it'll even bother me. But you can really see some shine back in the paint there. Gosh, it looks good. He was right. I mean, this car really does clean up nice, and now that it's actually good looking again, it makes it easier to work on for sure. And inside the car, we're about to do that right now. I've rolled the windows down, removed the T-tops for some light and better access to everything. We're going to start with cleaning up the seats, so I'll actually have a place to sit down and get to everything, and then we'll vacuum out everything, because all this is just straight up barn dust. So we're going to do something with this seat here, of course, but we'll clean it up first so I can sit down in it and get comfortable, because it's going to be a long process here, especially the steering wheel, the dash. I mean, all those crevices and cracks, it's going to take a long time. So we'll start with that, work our way over to the door panels. You can see how nasty they are. Work on getting all the door jambs clean. Make sure that seat in the back stays clean, because it is immaculate. I think there's like one rip in it that I can't even see. The last thing on our list is to fix this seat because the top side is broken. We could recover it, but the frame is basically shot. So I just took and unclipped it from the bottom. Come check out what I got. Previous owner couldn't open the door because all the latches were broken and the hinges were sagging, so he would just climb in through the door, which is why the door panel looks the way it does, and everything was broken with it. And he would just grab the top of the seat, slide in, and it bent this thing backwards, and then shredding up all the padding and everything inside. So instead of having to deal with that and recovering it, refoaming it, and straightening out this frame here, I found this. Another seat. I found a guy on Marketplace that's got a ton of these cars out here. I'll show you a quick clip of it in a second. But, excuse me, door, don't do that. And he said, I've got a good seat, but it's in this trailer. He's got parts just stacked all the way up in here. And he said, just start digging. It's in that corner. I gotta go somewhere. I'll be back. Good luck. I'm gonna commence to the digging and see if I can find something. I see a seat way down in there, but I really got to get through all this stuff to get to it. It's gonna be a long day. A tub full of spoilers, grills galore. I mean, I think that's what I'm gonna aim for right there. Gosh, I hope it's the driver's side. Here's where we're at. All sorts of good parts out here. I mean, if any place is gonna have it, I feel like this might be the place to look. I mean, that's all this guy specializes in, really, is this era and body style of car. When I got there, he told me he had an exact seat that I needed with good foam and a good cover that he would sell to me for 200 bucks. I get there and guess what? He doesn't have it. So I found the next best thing. This is basically an exact match to what we're working with over here, except it's obviously red. And one other thing I've noticed is, unfortunately, this is a passenger side back. But I got to doing a little looking around, and I noticed that on the frame, see this right here where the lock is for the mechanism? That's pressed in, and it just so happens there's holes over here on this side for the exact same thing. The only difference I can tell is the fact of the seatbelt locking mechanism, which should be right here. You see there's two holes. There's a plate here that mounts like the hanger that holds the seatbelt on. I don't care. I just want to have a good seat. I paid 60 bucks for this. It isn't perfect by any means, but it'll definitely look a lot better than what we have. And once we dye it black, you won't be able to notice any kind of cracks or rips in it. And we'll really clean it up so that way it'll look really good and the paint should last as long as we can. And heck, if we ever have to touch it up, we can touch it up. He didn't have a seat bottom, unfortunately, so I'm going to leave this one in here. But the foam looks, for the most part, all there. And at some point down the road, we can take the seat bottom out and actually have it recovered. But for now, it'll do just fine. Go. I reckon these were riveted on because I had to cut the back side loose and then I could punch it through. Look at there. Since these are riveted in, I'm going to put just a little dab of JB Weld on the back side just to hold it in place. They press in, but they've got like a rivet on the back side, so that keeps it still. And that should do the trick. Let this dry, and we've got some work to do to make it look and match the same. Let that dry, and nobody will ever know the difference, except you guys for watching. Hey, don't tell anybody I did this, okay? Look at this interior, guys. I love this car. It cleaned up so well in comparison to what it was. It's almost unbelievable. Like, I'm shocked to see the difference in just how bad this car was versus how it is now. I love it. I've actually been driving it since that last clip of me cleaning it, so I've gotten it dirty even since then, but still, it's held up so well. But what I think is the most shocking is the driver's seat. On this side, I actually went ahead and just cut back where it was ripped and just hit it with some black paint so it's not so obvious that it's ripped up. But look at this seat. I mean, if you know what's been done, you can tell a slight difference, but just walking up and looking at it, it's nearly impossible to notice that. And it sits comfortably, it rides nice, it's perfect for what I'm doing, and I love it. And until we can get the actual bottom of the seat recovered, it is a perfect replacement for getting this car back on the road and not having to deal with a crunchy seat. And that's exactly what I want. But this interior, gosh, it's so clean. Black with white, it just looks so good. I love this car so much. You can see I've got my Bluetooth speaker because I've been out riding around in this thing because I really, really do love it. And the back seat looks just as good. You can even see our Bibles where we took it to church. I mean, we have been cruising in this old car. This thing looks so good, but look how dark the tint is. Driving it around, I didn't realize how dark it is. He said he had like a medical condition with his eyes to where he was allowed to have limo tint. And golly, is it dark. But it looks good, especially with the black and white. It's unbeatable. This car is so clean compared to what it was just a few short days ago. I seriously am in love with this car. You didn't think we could just leave it stock, did you? We're gonna do some performance upgrades that are budget friendly and effective, just like this MSD coil and cap. And the good thing about all this stuff is it's a factory replacement and it'll work perfectly fine with what you're running with right now. We just got a little hotter spark for a little bit, just a little bit more performance gain, and any little bit helps when you're working with the 305. So we're gonna change the old cap out and put this fancy new MSD coil back in its place. Now, of course, we've got to enjoy all this extra sparky goodness with some 8.5mm superconductors from MSD. And the good thing I like about these, I put black spark plug wires on everything I drive because when you got an oil leak, these bad boys will hide it. So you got to think smarter, not harder. So the engine's cold now. I wanted to see if it ran any better on a cold start than it did before. Oh, wow. That was easy. I mean, most of the time when you do it, you've got to work the throttle, but this thing is just sitting there running. And it's smoother too. And once it warms up, obviously it'll get even better, but wow. Now, you didn't think I'd stop there, did you? We've got exhaust we're gonna put on the car. I've already cut a hole right here, and we're gonna be removing the entire factory exhaust. As you can see, I've already made a big, nice cut there, and all this muffler is just dangling like it's broken. Everything is broken on it. So we're gonna remove all this factory exhaust because we've got a major upgrade in the works. Well, there's a pile of trash laying on the floor. Now we got to see what it sounds like with absolutely no exhaust at all. That is scandalous 305 activities right there. So loud. Just right there. There's nothing. Very fumey over here too. I can smell it. Well, we got to give it a rev. One for the boys. Oh yeah. Oh, she's beefy. Now it sounds like a derby car. We got to fix that. Here's the fix, folks. We have Hooker mufflers, stainless steel, the VR304, 2.5-inch inlet and outlet. Check out this. Can you see the daylight, folks? That's a straight through muffler no obstructions, no baffles, nothing. That's going to be the most performance and the most power with a fantastic sound. It even says on the website, aggressive exhaust note. And on top of that, they sent us these clamp-on style exhaust tips to really pretty up the back end of the car, and these little clamps that we can help just tie everything together real simply and make it look good and easy. These are Flowmaster 2.5-inch stainless steel pre-bent tailpipes. These are going to go from the muffler back. So all we got to do is get manifolds to muffler tied in, and these will simply work and go right back to the rear of the car where those exhaust tips can tie in. And then we're going to have a mean sounding car for not a whole lot of money. I mean, this is going to be one of the best upgrades you could ever do for a factory style small block of any sorts. Hooker's got you covered. Let's take it over to Sammy's, get it all tied in. We are at the best exhaust shop in Tennessee once again, and they just got done with the Camaro. I got to hear it. I'm warming it up to pull it up on the trailer. You got to hear this. All new exhaust, everything brand new. We'll set it up on the lift and look at it when we get home, but listen to that. That sounds brutally mean. Oh, I love it. How about a little rev? Ooh, that looks so good. Got brand new pipes all the way back. And Sammy's knocked it out of the park. They had to bend all this right here and then add in those Hooker mufflers. And then these are the Flowmaster tailpipes. And as you can see, I mean, it's properly bent. It tucks up nicely up over the leaf spring. Doesn't touch the quarter panel at all. Plenty of clearance above the rear axle. I'm gonna move this brake hose a little bit. We'll relocate that and just kind of spin it around so it's not so close, but that's really good. I'm impressed by that. I mean, for pre-bent stuff, being stainless, I mean, that's really accurate. Wow, look at that. Nice and tight finish, and those exhaust tips just finish it off, and it sounds killer. So I'm very happy with how this turns out. And I mean, just a little minor upgrade like this can really go a long way when you're dealing with a stock car kind of like this with a 305 that's nothing crazy or radical, but just to help it out with breathing and exhaling, it does a whole lot of work and a whole lot of wonder, and it sounds so good. So good. As promised, I'm bringing it back to the previous owner's house. I'm gonna let him make the decision if he wants to be on camera. Whenever I did the first video, he didn't really want to be, but I'll see if he'll go for a ride with me. For sure, we're gonna go for a ride. I'll just make sure if he wants to film it or not. So hopefully he does, but I'm very excited to see his reaction and experience what the car is now, especially with all this new exhaust and just being a all-around good car. I mean, I know he knows for a fact how good of a car it was. He told me. So I'm very anxious to see exactly what he thinks. This old car hadn't driven up here in a while. Probably been at least 10, 12 years since it's driven on this road right here coming up to his house. Ain't that just amazing? Here we are. There's the barn it was sitting in. What a cool feeling. What a very cool feeling. That's where it was. You remember what it looked like? I mean, I scrubbed it for a day straight.
Cleaned up pretty good, though, didn't it?
It surely did.
What's your plans for it now?
It needs a set of tires.
Yeah.
Probably put a set of wheels on it.
Yeah.
And drive it. That's all I wanted. Reach in there, turn the key. We got new exhaust put on it and everything.
Oh, heck. Sounds like it.
You ought to have seen what shot out of the muffler when I fired it up the first time. Rat's nest, everything.
Everything's in 10 years.
Yeah, it was the muffler in the back was broken, so I just put 2 new mufflers on it and tailpipes and everything.
You got a buyer?
I've had a bunch of people ask to buy it, but I don't think I could get rid of it, to be honest with you. I love this thing. I've had so much fun with it. What do you think? That sounds pretty mean, don't it?
Oh, that sounds gorgeous.
You see what I've been doing over here. I'm sure you've done this plenty of times, though. Burn a little rubber.
Yep. Yeah. Burn right off of them.
Yeah, this thing it's something else, but it's still, I mean, the gas gauge works on it, the speedometer's dead accurate. I mean, everything on it is good. Like I said, it needs just a little bit more tinkering and it'll be perfect for a good road trip car.
Yeah. And it used to get good 24 miles per gallon.
I can see that.
That's why I never bothered to want to buy a new one.
Right.
Not too many people probably remember this car.
Really?
Well, it's been 10 years since it's been on the road.
Right.
People remember in their 40s, 50s,
Right.
60s.
But it did not fight me. It was
ready to come back to life.
Oh yeah. It was very straightforward with it.
Used to drive all of these people crazy. I got pulled over on the interstate going too slow.
Going too slow?
Yeah, 110.
110.
Semi trucks were passing me.
They were getting it then, weren't they?
Yeah. It's got a new life.
Oh yeah. And like I said, my main goal is to drive them no matter what. So like I was telling you, I wouldn't mind taking it on a road trip or something.
He's been on, like I said, I've taken it all the way up in central Pennsylvania.
Really? Wow. That's a good ways away.
About 1,800 miles one direction.
No trouble either, right?
Nope.
I mean, I showed everything about getting it to fire up.
I knew it wouldn't take a lot.
No, it really didn't.
Knew right now my health, I said, I'd rather see that someone else had it, live it.
Well, I do appreciate you selling it to me. And like I said, we'll take care of it. I mean, we might spin a tire or two here and there, but we'll take care of it.
Not like I didn't do it all the time.
Right. Because I did notice, I got to looking at it, that right rear is a little bit slick when I got it home.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody's been spinning tires.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's what's good about it. You don't have to hot rod it, you can just drive it and enjoy it.
Yeah.
But if you need to go, you can go. You got to get somewhere.
That was one thing I could say, it was always reliable.
Oh, yeah. That's probably because it's bone stock.
Oh, I used it, yeah, I used it every day.
What'd you think?
I love it.
It's still a good car.
Yeah. Good car. It's got a new life, it'll last another 30 years.
I believe it.
I always liked it because I could step in and out of it.
Right.
Maybe when I was healthy enough, I could step over.
Right. Well, I had to when I first got it home.
Yeah.
I took your advice and just jumped through the T-tops.
Oh.
I just, it's first thing when I got home, I just took the T-tops out and just climbed through the door.
Rumbling sound just.
Oh yeah. That's what I like about they're Hooker brand mufflers. But they're stainless.
Yeah.
And kind of like a glass pack, but it's oval, you know, like a newer muffler. But I like them because they're real quiet. But when you get after it, it sounds good.
It's a beautiful rumble.
Yeah. I didn't touch the carburetor. That's what shocked me. I was like, I really didn't have to try it all, you know.
Wasn't much too.
No, nothing wrong with it at all.
That's what you call getting a cherry.
I think we ought to get a picture with it right in front of the.
Works for me. That's what you want. Right in front of the garbage.
Well, I think it tells a cool story. Showing where it came out of, but still being able to be as good of a car as it is, you know.
So someone can say, yeah, he took care of it.
It's out. I mean, it's stout.
Love it, love it.
Mr. Larry had to go back inside because of the weather being a little too cold for him, but there it sits. This is the car, and this is the barn it came out of. As you can see, it hasn't been that long, but it's still right where it was at home. So it's just pretty neat to see the car come back, and I believe he had a good time riding in it. He said he loved it and was proud that it had a new life. So I say we go ahead and head back home and enjoy it. Well, folks, there you have it. This 1979 Camaro is doing exactly what it was intended to do, be a car once more, and actually being taken back to the old owner and shown what this car could be, because he knew exactly what it could be. And I can't help but think about a couple of verses here. In Galatians chapter 6, verse 2, it says, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. In Romans chapter 15, verse 1, it says, we then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak and not to please ourselves. So I look at this car as being able to help someone enjoy and fulfill that last little bit, to where they can see a car that they truly adored and truly loved, and see it go to somewhere good and somewhere nice. And you know, that doesn't always happen with a lot of things, and I pray that he can find comfort in his time of need right now, and I pray that this car gave him a little bit of that comfort. And you know, that's the thing about it is, you know, this isn't about me, but it's about what God wants. And I really am excited that this car was able to bring together a friendship. I really feel like Mr. Larry is a good friend of mine now. He was very kind to me and allowed me to be able to have this car as long as I took care of it. So I promise Mr. Larry I will take care of this car and use it for everything. I want to take it on road trips, take my little daughter on rides whenever she's born, and just use this car for everything. So guys, I appreciate you watching. T-shirts and stickers are down in the link below. I hope you subscribe, hope you like this video. Leave a comment, let me know what you thought about it. If you enjoyed it as much as I did, just let me know, because it really helps out the channel so that we can do more stuff exactly like this. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.